Hi, welcome to the April session of transaction review and calculator practice. It's good to be here again. I always really love getting ready for these. If you, as always, be sure to chat in the chat box or to let me know if you can't hear me or some other technical thing that I might ramble on and not notice. For tonight's session, I want to go over a commercial land contract, and this is actually my first land contract in Detroit. It's my first deal in Detroit, my first land contract. So it's kind of been a good learning experience all around. So I wanted to share it with you. And I wanted to share, last night when I was talking to a group down in Irvine, they were wondering, Don, all the stuff that you're talking about sounds so great, but really, I mean, how if I only have 10,000, is it really, can I get into the note business? And so what I'm going to show you tonight is how, if you invest in yourself, and most people on this call already know this, then you can take small amounts of money and leverage them. And I'm going to show you some pretty fun numbers here by the time we get to the end. Okay, so the property, the value is 58,000. I take that from the sale price last year, plus the fact that a friend of mine on the ground drove by, took a video of the place, gave me a really good download of what the area was like, et cetera, et cetera. He said, yeah, it's probably worth about that. At the time, the gal she owns the contiguous commercial parcel as well. So she's pretty invested in the area. It's not like a one-off, which I was a little concerned about at the beginning because it's not currently being used in a commercial context except for it's getting ready. It looks like they're slowly working on gutting the inside and things like that. So anyway, so 58,000 minus the 17% down payment. And as you know, a land contract is like a layaway plan. You don't get title to the property until you finish paying it off. By contrast, of course, a note and a mortgage or a note and deed of trust, you get title and then someone has to foreclose if you if you quit making your payments. So anyhow, in this particular situation, I guess a land contract, you have a 90-day, if there's a default, you have a 90-day right of redemption, the buyer does. But if they have a mortgage, they have something like a 180-day or 6-month redemption period. So it's it mitigates the losses to have the land contract. It's just that I had never actually pulled the trigger on one. So anyway, so we got 48,000 for the note amount. The face rate on the note, wow, my throat is tickly, sorry. Okay, and normally I go, well, what's the term? And then I get the payment, but it's not an exact amortization. So the note's actually written for $1,200 a month, fully amortized. And so then I calculate for N. So basically there's 44.74 payments of $1,200. They've already made 13 of those payments exactly on time by direct deposit. So minus the 13. Now I've got 31.74 left. And to find the unpaid balance, what the balance is on this note is, and as I was talking with Ken, one of our members earlier, this is going to be verified by an estoppel or an offset statement before I will allow funds to be dispersed to the seller. Because what if they've made an extra principal payment that the seller didn't tell me about, and really the balance is 30,000 and not 35,000? But I went over to the amortization, and I'm looking at 13 here. After 13 payments, yep, there it is, 35,138.67 to be verified by the buyers, by the payers on the note. And there should be an offset statement in the download central page on the site if you haven't already seen that. So that's the kind of thing I'll be sending out. Okay, so far so good. No questions, no hands up. Okay, so then the next page, the offer to buy the land contract. So I'm thinking, all right, property value is 58,000. The UPB, the unpaid balance, principal balance of the note, is 35. There's 31.74 payments left, monthly payment. I'm going to plug in that I want a 20% yield because this is Detroit and this is an currently not even generating income for the owner. And I don't know, it's commercial, blah, blah, blah. But I think I can get away with this number because of the short amortization. It's not really as big of a discount as it would be if it was a longer term. So now I'm going to press PV to figure out, what I would pay. So basically I rounded up to 29.5 for my offer. And that has to include broker's fees, closing costs, everything. That's all in. And I made this offer originally back in March, like the beginning of March, and then I didn't hear back for a while, but this is the price I quoted, including the March payment. So by the time they came back around at the end of March, they'd already received the payment. So basically I just said, well, we're going to detract from the contract price, $1,200 for that March payment that you already got. And of course you can keep it. So now I'm down to 28.3, and also the April payment due to me is due on the 4/15 or 4/17. That's when they normally make their payment. So I'm guessing since we're at the 4th, I'll be closed and they'll be advised. But just in case, I got to subtract that out, right? Because if they end up with the payment, that's not a lot of time to tell the payers to pay me instead of the regular people, the regular sellers. So anyway, so going on so far, get what I'm here. Next page. So here's where I bring in another, well, that's not really, is that what I meant to say there? Okay, yeah, anyway, I end up showing you how I'm going to leverage another investor. But first, we took out the March payment. Now I'm going to take out the April payment because either I'm going to detract it from the closing or I'll get it practically the week after we close. So in all essence, for all intents and purposes, here's my total cost, $27,100. And the broker fees, so then out of that comes the broker fees. There's 2 brokers involved in this, and I said, okay, guys, you can split $2,500 between you however you want, but it's got to include the closing costs. So one of them's getting $500, the other one's getting $2,000 less whatever the closing costs are. They'll probably be about $500 or something. I don't know. So, so basically, this is what the seller's gonna net: $24,600. Okay, and so then what? So then my whole cost though is I've got to come out of pocket $2,500 for closing costs and broker fees. So really, the whole thing is this 27,000. But I'm bringing in an investor who's brand new to notes. He contacted me when he had in one of his retirement accounts, he had $170,000 in cash that he wanted to put to work. We put him. He was very persistent and he was really excited and positive and very persistent. And so we got him in, one in February, one in March, and now he's going to be my investor here on this one this month. So bang, 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 one each month. And so anyway, if he's bringing in 25,000 of the total 27,100 that's due, and let me go to the next page, I think. Okay, and for him, even so, usually I pay anywhere from 8 to 10. This is kind of high, but I think it's warranted. Oops. 10% yield, on a commercial note in Detroit, even though, look at his investment to value would be 25,000 divided by 58,000. He's at 40. He's less than 50% the value of the property, and it's a land contract where we wouldn't even have to foreclose. I forgot to do one other thing here. Is say what they're going to net the sellers. If I look at a percentage, what kind of a discount did they take on this? So I'll take 2,600, which is what they're going to net, divided by over here the UPB of 35, 138. Oops. Gosh, I always do this, don't I? Oh, now it's deciding to cram up. Hello? Okay, 24. Darn it. What was it? 600 divided by 35, 138. So they're getting 70 cents on the dollar. That's actually not that bad, in my opinion. So anyway, going back to this over here, my investor brings in the 25,000. I'm going to give him a 10% return. And remember, we have 31.74 payments, but that's including the April payment. So now we have 30.17 payments left. But I'm just going to say my investor gets the next 30 payments. I'm basically keeping that April payment, or it's reducing my overall contribution and liability. And so out of the 30.74 note payments left, I'm going to give him, so that would be starting with the May 15th payment. And let me see, let's take this to 0. It's fully amortized. Now I'm going to solve for payment. That's how much my investor is going to need for a 10% return over the next 30 months on his $25,000 investment. So I go, okay, that's what I'm going to pay him. Then I go, well, the payment I'm getting in is $1,200 minus what I owe to him. So since that's already a negative number, I'll just add the $1,200 instead. So basically, that's my part. That's what I get to keep out of this payment stream, plus the right to fix anything and take care of it if it goes wrong. So now I'm going to figure out what's my yield by doing this arbitrage trick and leveraging the other investor, which he's thrilled, by the way, on his 10%. He's been making 1% or nothing for a couple years now, and he's brand new to notes, just kind of learning this whole thing. So basically, remember, I'm only in at 21. The whole price is 27.1, and minus the 25,000 that the investor's bringing in. So here's my note purchase. Most people, now this is a small amount of money to invest in a note. Am I right? I mean, most people are like, I tell people, 15,000 is kind of the minimum, and 25,000, there's a whole lot more opportunity once you have 25,000 and above to invest in notes. But look how much I have here. Look how much of my own money. So if I was starting out new, then if I could scrape together $2,100 and leverage someone else's money, here's the return I'm making. So PV's that, payments that, there's my term. I get the next 30 months after this. So what's my yield right there? Yeah, 140% return on my money, on the portion. And of course, this pays me back for all the stuff I had to learn and to get here, and the things that I do that take my time and energy to attract not only investors but note opportunities. But so that's pretty exciting, isn't it? I mean, really, 140%. I like that number. And then that's not even counting. Remember, there's that 0.74 of a payment. The last payment will be like 3/4 of its original. So 1,200 times 0.74. So I'll get the 888 at the back end. So I guess I could put that in there, and it's pretty close, even though that's really the next payment later. I know what I could do. I could do 888 plus 254.71. So let me put that number into there. Okay, this will be right then. I'll get 30 payments of 254.71, and then the final payment, it'll have a balloon of, it's the combination of these two numbers right there. So let's see what my yield is really then. Okay, good, a little bit more. 141, so almost 142% return on investment. So I thought those pretty fun numbers to work out. And any comments, questions? I'm going to try to unmute everybody to see how the line quality is. Is anyone there and able to speak or wants to?
Can you hear me, Don?
Yeah, is this who is this? Ken?
This is Ken.
Yeah, great. Great, great. So you and I were on the phone earlier because what a coincidence that you are now in the process of buying a land contract in Michigan as well, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I just thought, in the absence of anybody else's, questions or comments, as you speak, I'm just gonna type it out here so we all see what your deal looks like.
Hey, Don,
Ken's.
on your note, why are they selling the note?
Oh, because they used to run a upholstery business out of that commercial building, and then they moved to the other side of town.
Hmm.
And they need money to invest in their new location, some expansion of their current business that they're doing,
Hmm.
and so they need the cash now.
Now, is that gentleman who's investing with you on this note, is his name on the land contract with you, or how does that work?
Yeah, what'll happen is I'm going to take it into my company's name to be on public record, and then what happens is I will fully execute and acknowledge the an assignment to him and a quit claim deed to him, so that he's holding it in his possession, so that he could send it to recording and take possession of the note if something happens to me.
So he will own 100% of that note, and then he will trust the fact, or you will trust the fact that he will pay you the nine or the 254 out of his
Yeah,
1200.
so I ask him not to record it unless there's some problem where I can't perform. But I also have a servicing agreement so that even if he does record it, I still have the legal right to collect the payments.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my backstop if my investor says, I think I'll just take over this note now and have a better return for myself. So still there's a servicing agreement that would prevent that.
And as far as, and I don't know, you might know this because I don't even know it myself because I haven't owned it long enough, but as far as tax reporting, is this land contract just the same as a note would be, tax reporting, where you're just going to report the interest? Or do you have to report anything else? Because when he makes the last payment to you, let's just say, and then they own the commercial building, or you give the note back to them, or the warranty deed or whatever,
Right.
when you see your tax person, is this considered a real estate ownership where it's a real estate deal and it goes somewhere else on your tax return, or is it just considered interest from the note and you leave it at that and make it simple?
I'm under the impression, based on the verbal stuff, that it's going to be handled like a note and not like capital gains and
Okay.
the various complications. And like I said, this is my first one, so we'll see what happens
Yeah.
when I get to tax time, and hopefully, my understanding was correct. So anyone who's listening, please get your own advice from your own accountant, specific for your situation. So, but everything I understand is that this is treated like a mortgage would be.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my first question. Is like, wait. So if I buy this thing for 25 grand or 27 grand, and then am I going to get a capital gains hit between the 58,000 that they paid for it? It doesn't make sense that I would. Maybe I'd have some sort of a gain between the UPB and what I paid. So what is that? Um, $7,000.
I still think you're correct on it, assuming, and again, we're making an assumption here, but I think
Mm-hmm.
you're correct in assuming it's going to be just like a note because the borrowers are paying taxes, insurance, and everything else, and as long as you're not taking any depreciation, which I don't think you would be doing because they're
No,
probably
not at all.
entitled to that
Yeah,
as well. No one's
yeah.
going to know any different. You're going to report it as interest when they send you, if they send you a 1099 statement, and you're just going to report it as interest earned.
Right. And I would bet my life no one's going to submit me a 1099 on this. Most
Yeah,
people don't do that, or they
right,
may or may not ask me for a 1098 a mortgage interest thing at the end of the year. But either
right.
way, it's fine. And just case in point, my whole attitude toward doing things is like I'm going to make my best effort. In fact, like I went back to the title company that did the deal last year. So they have all the documentation. And I said, here's what I'm trying to do. I'm telling you right now, it's the first land contract. Here's what I think is supposed to happen. But I'm counting on you to protect me. I want insurance. I want you to make sure everything's clear and that I'm
Right.
protected in chain of title. And like I was telling you earlier, they came back and said, "Wait, you're buying the property, so you have to have a purchase contract," which then got me all flustered until I called my
Yeah.
friend and then settled down again. And no, all we need is a quit claim deed. And then when I called them back, they said, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, yeah, we'll insure that." And but at first they were trying to tell me something different that would have been more complicated.
Well, on mine, Don, I'm not even doing a quick claim. We're just doing an assignment of the note, and we're just treating that as the contract. I mean, we have a purchase agreement contract that we're doing,
And you're
but
not
it's
taking
just
the quit claim? They're not quit claiming it to you?
well, I'm using a lawyer, so I mean, I'm gonna now that I've talked to you, I'm gonna ask that question. But
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, let me know what you hear because what they told me is yes, the assignment of the beneficial interest in the interest in the land contract will cloud title. Nothing can happen with the property unless you clear it, unless you release your position, but we won't give you any insurance if if
well,
you don't release.
he's ordering the title report as we speak. So I will let you know if they go through and order the title report, and they're just going to insure it for the amount that I've got into it, which is 27,000,
Well,
not anything more than that.
basically then they're doing a lender's policy for you, which makes a whole heck of a lot of sense because that's
Yeah,
all your exposure is, frankly.
exactly. And like I say, in the future, I would even recommend because Michigan is a state where they do attorneys to close things. I would use an attorney next time, Don.
Yeah, can you type in his name right here for me and I'm going to mark it in. Do you know it right off? Or
Um,
email me later because
I
then
will. I will.
I'll put that when I put this up on the site. I'll put it down below so that we all have that access to that if you don't mind.
I will do that, but do me a favor, don't use him until I'm okay, where I think he does the job where he's supposed to do the
Oh,
job.
yeah, good point. So once you get to the point where you yeah, where you're happy with them, if you would share that, that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, usually, I think what you did is the best thing. Since there wasn't attorney except for the attorneys at the title company, they were involved in putting this deal together. I usually go back to whoever put the deal together because it's
Yeah,
usually
and keep in mind too,
easier.
Don, when you use an attorney, if you get a hold of the attorney first, between, you know, like you're dealing with this commercial land contract and the borrowers, whoever contacts that attorney, he or she works for you. So, you know, who better not to have but an attorney to help you through the process because of the fact all these different questions that we're asking, they should know.
Yeah, exactly. Instead
And
of
on
me
top of
go,
that,
yeah.
yeah, and on top of that, I negotiated with the seller of the note to do 50-50 on the closing costs, which he didn't have to do. So my closing costs are going to be around $700. I don't mind that. I don't mind. That's peace of mind for a note that's good for another. My note happens to be 10 more years.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent point. So let's go back and just plug this thing in and see what it is. So basically, the sales price was what when the land contractee or whatever vendee bought
Yeah, the
it.
sales price was for $52,000.
Oops. Okay, what was the down payment?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The price was 46,500. I'm sorry,
Oh,
and the down
40.
payment was 6,500.
So okay,
So the
down
sales
payment.
price was 46.5.
That okay. That's not the note balance.
That's correct.
Okay, and down payment was what?
6,500.
So just
So
quickly,
the beginning contract was for $40,000. The land contract note.
okay, divided by 46. This is owner occupied, right?
That is correct.
So that's not bad for owner occupied. We got a
No,
14% down right there. I like that.
no. And what they did, Don, is they did a lease option a year before without a land contract, just a rent lease option, and he paid his down payment through that lease option. His rent payment was $1,000, and they gave him about $500 credit every month.
Oh, nice. So he really is highly invested.
Yeah, so he's got about 18 months of payment history there.
Okay, so I'm going to put that in. So 18 months, good. So then what's the interest rate?
The interest rate is 9%,
Okay, great. And then the term?
120 months.
So 10 years. So going back over here, 14. Oh, what am I doing? 9, 40,000, 120 months, 10 years times 12 months each, fully amortized. Is that what his payment is?
That
506.70?
is correct. And then he pays an additional um, 91.83 for insurance and 103.17 for taxes and stuff. So that's just extra insurance for the owner of the note, because I'm going to be paying that
Yeah, so
for them.
you have impounds
For him.
for all intents and purposes. You got
Correct.
impounds. So five. Oh darn it! This is very squirrely. 506.70 plus impounds. And then so what did you? What's your note purchase?
27,000.
Okay, 27,000. And then you said you half of the closing costs is going to be what? 350
No, 700 is my
is your
cost.
half.
700. Yes.
Okay, so 27.7 is what you're into it. You get this payment, and how many payments are left?
He's paid 9 payments so
9.
far, so call it 120 minus 9. Call it 111.
Okay, great. So then your yield is nice. 17 and a half. You know what? A lot of the people buying non-performings are happy with like a 17 plus return on investment.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said before, he improved the property, the current seller, not the borrower, but the seller of the note, put on a new roof, put a new air conditioning in, and a new heating, and new windows. So, I'm more than happy to get 17.5%. And then the good thing is he's a vet. So, it's going to be a win-win situation. He's on a permanent
Uh-huh.
disability. He's got I think about $3,500 a month coming in.
Oh, so debt to income's really low.
Right.
So basically his PI what's his PITI roughly?
It's $701
71, and how
a
much does
month.
he have coming in?
3,500. That's tax free. He doesn't pay any
Oh,
income tax. He
wow.
doesn't pay any
Oh, that's
income
so
tax.
okay. That's so setting everyone up for success. So that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. Any comments from the other people on the line? Any questions, concerns, other things you have going on? Okay, well, wow, what a fast and furious little session we had here. Thanks a lot, Ken. This is really fun chatting with you. Good ideas, and please do keep me posted, even if I forget to reach out and ask you. I'm really
I will.
interested.
I'll keep you posted on that quick
Right,
claim.
right, and also, like my whole point of this is, it's good. You do the best you can, but you get in action, and you don't like if you feel like you got to know every single thing before you pull the trigger, you
You
never
can't.
really get anywhere. And so,
Exactly.
once in a rare while, that means I make a mistake, and that's how I never forget that lesson. And so, but usually because I'm leveraging such relatively small amounts of money, I always pay my investors back no matter what. Any losses come out of my pocket. But those are just kind of my approach to things. But it's always helpful to learn. That's why I like the community model, because I learn as much from you guys as anyone thinks that they possibly learn from me. So it's hugely valuable. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you all. And until next time, take care.